It's here. Marshmallows and chocolate and graham crackers together and new s'mores crunch cereal. A fantastic part of this complete breakfast.
A toasty part of this nutritious breakfast.
Part of this complete breakfast.
Nutritious breakfast.
Nutritious.
Circus Fun, a spectacular part of this complete breakfast. New Circus Fun cereal.
Okay, stop. This is too much. Today, it's difficult to know if we're eating a healthy diet or just trusting what the American food landscape is telling us. More protein is better, and carbs are bad. But cereal is part of a healthy breakfast? Seems like the market has become so overwhelmed with misleading advertising and conflicting information that following a healthy diet is about as easy as plugging in a USB correctly the first time. You're never gonna get it right. In reality, this isn't just a problem in 2025. As soon as scientists began studying the American diet, advertising agencies grabbed any health buzzwords they could find to help sell more of their products. The history of food in America has been largely defined by abundance and freedom from want. But what happens when there's too much? Interested in understanding the tendency to overindulge in rich foods, Wilbur Olin Atwater used a respiration calorimeter to determine how much energy was being absorbed from certain foods. The results of his experiments led to what now forms the basis of the entire nutrition economy, the calorie. The idea of calories in versus calories out dominates the dietary landscape, even if it ignores vital nutrients. Unfortunately for us, a bowl of Lucky Charms doesn't have the same nutritional value as a bowl of oatmeal with berries, even if they have roughly the same number of calories. Regardless, it's standardized that the largest piece of data featured in the nutrition label is the calorie.
This can of beans? This mayonnaise? Straight up water?
In 2025, we see nutrition labels on every piece of food that we purchase, but that wasn't always the case. In fact, the standardized nutrition labels only date back to the 1990s. The road to these regulations, though, begins back in the Industrial Revolution. As schedules solidified and time for cooking tightened, packaged food gained massive popularity as a quick solution to a growing problem. To aid in this quickening pace of life, scientists like John Harvey Kellogg introduced cornflakes as a faster alternative to hot breakfast, and in 1894, functionally set off the cavalcade of cold cereals that would prosper in the century to follow. Watching Saturday morning cartoons from a young age, we unwittingly absorb the message that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and cereal is a part of that
Complete breakfast.
While it isn't inherently a lie, it is misleading and to me provides the perfect example of why following good nutrition can be so nebulous for Americans. Kellogg promoted foods that would aid in healthy digestion and wouldn't excite the passions. Excite the passions? What the f? What had originally been served as a dish at his wellness retreat evolved into a national corporation that sold health advice right on the box. And so nutrition moved from the lab and directly into the hands of the consumer. Just as nutrition science was getting itself off the ground though, so too was the advertising industry. The Industrial Revolution saw tremendous economic growth, and with that, increased competition between businesses. With the proliferation of advertising in TV, newspapers, and magazines, providing convincing narratives to consumers about the health benefits of one product over another became inevitable. Mothers were told that their children needed more fat, and for a time, they too needed to gain weight. But by the 1950s, though, concerns of undereating were replaced by the ideals of a shrinking waistline. And some of these ads were absolutely bonkers. Somehow, I'm supposed to believe that smoking cigarettes is good nutrition because it suppresses my appetite. Weirdly enough, this was normal thinking at the time. It's not healthy. That would be like me saying, you'll never lose your car keys again if you weld them to the side of your car. Okay, sure, you won't lose your car keys, but they're completely useless. I can't deal. As I was saying, packaged food was rapidly gaining in popularity and was changing the American dietary landscape. Prior to the 1960s, the average American understood very little about nutrition, and that wasn't necessarily a problem because most meals were made from whole ingredients at home. But the increasing availability of processed foods changed this and prompted citizens to request further information about nutrient contents of foods that they purchased. And in 1972, the FDA proposed regulations that specified a format to provide nutrition information on packaged food labels. But this was really only enforced on foods that deliberately made health claims. Well, if that's the case, then how on earth could advertising still be influeing the American consumer's diet? In many ways, it only encouraged them. Now, if the nutrients of a given product weren't highlighted in some way on the packaging or in the marketing material, the consumer might disregard it, even if the highlighted nutrient didn't in all seriousness put that product ahead of another. The very fact that it was publicized front and center on the packaging made it seem like the healthy choice. Even though this led to the introduction of certain criteria that would have to be met in order for a health claim to be made, I would argue that this is still a problem in grocery stores today.
6 grams of protein. That's not bad. I guess I'm pretty healthy.
No. No! You know what else has 7 grams of protein? 1 egg. And you know what it doesn't have? 20 grams of added sugar. Today we're lulled into this illusion that protein is the only important thing and that other nutrients are superfluous. It's gonna be okay. I need to calm down. Sorry. Anyway, in 1989, 2 reports came out that demonstrated to Americans that eating healthy wasn't just for looks and how your diet actually impacted your risk of developing chronic illnesses like heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. In reaction, the Surgeon General's report called on the food industry to carry nutrition labels on every product. Finally, in 1990, the Nutrition Labeling and Education Act was passed. This meant that food companies were now required to include a nutrition facts panel on the packaging of every food. And that label now followed strict guidelines based on the values set by the FDA, like 2,000 calories a day. I could absolutely go off on a tangent about how this value became the recommended daily intake, but I'll save that for another day. In 1994, every packaged food product in the US had a nutrition label. And if it hadn't already, this is where it gets somewhat insane. This never would have even crossed my mind if I hadn't done my research. Because once nutrition facts become standardized, companies can't hide behind clever branding to disguise the truth. Every bit of this packaging is thought out to market their product. So when real estate is lost to the nutrition label, the only solution is for companies to reformulate their product recipes to reduce the sticker shock. The nutritional value of foods could be directly compared by consumers, which was something that was entirely impossible before. So, companies engineered foods to appear more healthy by lowering saturated fat, switching to artificial sweeteners, reducing calories, adding vitamins. By having these hard and fast numbers, advertisers could now use terms like low fat and high fiber, and before you know it, entirely new food categories emerge. Low fat sweets, trans fat free snacks, vitamin fortified drinks. The nutrition label was designed to provide helpful information to the consumer, but instead it literally reconstructed the American diet. I've lived my entire life with the nutrition facts right on my food, and so too has everyone born after 1994. Even with that information readily available though, people continue to struggle to maintain healthy diets. Perhaps there are elements of their dietary choices that even they, if they were to pause for a moment, would recognize as poor, but there's a bigger issue here. Nothing about the marketing of food is unbiased. It never has been. The short and sweet of it is that companies need to make money, and food, unfortunately, is sold by companies. For as long as nutrition has been studied in the United States, advertisers have been trying to sell that idea of good nutrition in whatever way they can. So yeah, it is confusing, but it's helpful to know who wrote the rules and who's trying to bend them.